Okay guys, now I'm going to give a lecture on the topic The Spirit of Indian Art from the chapter Art, Architecture, Music and Dance, book A.L. Basam. What is the spirit of Indian art? The discussion will be remained or centered around the two words, secular and religious. Okay, the question is whether the Indian art is secular or whether the Indian art is religious. How you will interpret this? The paragraph from 1 to 6 of this chapter centers around this topic. Then what do you think? Whether the Indian art is secular or whether the Indian art is religious? Okay, what is religious? Religious art means it expresses a very spiritual character. Okay, when we see any architecture, when we see any sculpture, if it is religious, then it will remind us about the future spiritual life. Okay, if a statue or if an architecture or any sculpture is religious, it will not remind us about this earthly life. Okay, the life what we are leading. Okay, the art where we are exist. Okay, the characteristics of this world where we are living. Okay, a religious art does not reflect these characteristics. A religious art will tell us about his spiritual character that is something beyond this life. Okay, and on the other hand, what is a secular art? A secular art is that art who is expresses everyday works, which expresses our mundane life, which expresses about the everyday quality of our life. The life which we are living every day is expressed in a secular art. And what you will tell about Indian art, whether Indian art is religious or whether Indian art is secular. Indian art is much more secular in comparison to Europe. Okay, why Indian art is secular? Okay, Indian art is secular because if we see the paintings of Ajanta, if we see the paintings of Ellora, no doubt there is a spiritual Buddha is depicted here. But besides the depiction of spiritual Buddha in the paintings or in the statue or in the sculptures, there are lots of scopes, there are lots of paintings where Buddha is represented in human form as an ordinary human being. Not only in case of Buddha, in pictures of Ajanta, in paintings of Ajanta, their everyday life, like a woman bringing water in pot, okay, children playing, such kind of pictures are also represented in Ajanta. That's why Indian art is not totally secular. Oh, sorry, Indian art is not totally religious. Okay, besides Ajanta, if we view the architecture and sculpture of temples spread in different parts of India, then we will see that they are not something that they will give us a spiritual thinking at first sight. Okay, even if we view the statue of Mahabali in Shravana Belgola, no doubt it gives us a spiritual view, spiritual thinking. But the statues portrayed in such a way that if we view the statue of Mahabali closely, then you will notice that the something is attracting the statue of Mahabali towards the art. That means what? That means it indicates that it is very difficult to cut our relationship with this earthly world, with this art. That means what happened? Indian art is much more tilted to earthliness, to this secularity rather than religious character. Then another topic is, here you will find a comparison between Indian art and European art. Okay, the comparison is that European art is much more religious in comparison to Indian art. In European art, what happens whenever you see any statue or whenever you see the structure of churches, girja ghar, okay, then you will feel a very religious thinking at first sight. Why? Because you see the father, the father of churches, okay, the गिरजाघर का जो father है, ठीक है, उसको बहुत tall, the figure of father is portrayed very tall with long garments covering their whole body from head to toe. Okay, and the statue in their, the sculpture in European art rarely laugh. Okay, they don't laugh. Their face is always very dignified. They always remain very cool, calm, and they rarely laugh. And in contrast to European art, in Indian art, what happened? The sculpture in Indian art always laughs. Okay, they rarely in Indian art, the artists rarely portray without smile. Okay, no doubt, except there are some statues like Karakkal Ammayar. She is a devotee of Shiva, and her statue is portrayed in an emaciated figure, thin. Okay, then except such one or two statues in Indian art, sculptures or art is portrayed always with a smiling figure in comparison to European art. In European art, what happened? Sculpture or art is portrayed with very cool, portrayed with very dignified face. Okay, they don't laugh. Okay, but in Indian art, the statue or whatever might be in whatever Indian art portrays, they are very what? They are very enjoyable mood. Okay, they are very not funny. They are very in a they are always in merriment. The figure in Indian art is always merriment in comparison to the dignified sculpture of European art. That's what we can infer. We can infer that European art is much more religious, and while the Indian art is much more secular, because Indian art portrays the life as they existing or as they exist in the art. Another thing is that the statue or the sculpture in Indian art is well nourished. Their body is a very formed body. Okay, nice body in comparison to European art. That means what happened? In Indian art, the statue or the art portrays the life that as they are. Rather than portraying the spirituality with something emaciated or thin figure, Indian art tries to portray life as they are. Okay, this is the main point. These are the main points from paragraph 1 to paragraph 6 in the chapter. The thing is that it centers around two topics, secular and religious. What is secular? The secular is that does not remind us about spiritual life. It portrays everyday life. And religious is something that makes us remind about the future life with spiritual characteristics. Indian art is combination of both secular and religious, but Indian art is much more secular. Why? Because the Indian art portrays the life as they are existing in the world. And what is the in European art, what happened? In comparison to Indian art, European art portrays much more spirituality. Okay. Now any confusion? Okay. To all my students, I will give to all of you notes. You will read the notes and listen to the first read book, listen to the lecture, and after that I am giving to you all of notes. Okay. Thank you. And for any confusion, you can leave a message. Okay.